Have you ever wondered what's behind a door that no one dares to open? What's the secret so dangerous that it's been locked away for years? This room has been untouched, shrouded in mystery. But today, we are going to find out what's inside but the truth. It might just change everything you thought you knew. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, what we uncover could be more terrifying than you can imagine. Don't go anywhere. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more amazing content just like it, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. It's quick and easy, and you'll never miss out on our latest videos. Join our community and be part of the journey. Thanks for your support. In a lively village brimming with beauty and community spirit, there lived a young girl named Bucom. She wasn't just any child, she was the heart of the village, cherished by all who knew her. Her smile, radiant and warm, had a way of lighting up even the dullest days, and her sparkling eyes reflected the joy and innocence of her world. Bucom was the only child of the wealthiest couple in the village, and her life was filled with every comfort one could imagine. Her parents adored her endlessly, surrounding her with love and care that made her home a sanctuary of happiness. Their grand house stood as a symbol of prosperity, but inside, it was laughter and love that truly made it special. Bucom's days were filled with wonder, from exploring the colorful markets with her parents to running freely through the sunlit fields that stretched endlessly around her home. Wherever she went, villagers greeted her with warmth and affection, for to them, she was more than just a child, she was a symbol of hope and joy. Life for Bucom was a dream, a perfect blend of love, security, and boundless possibilities. Yet, as the sun set over her idyllic world, it marked the beginning of a story that would reveal the hidden depths and mysteries awaiting her beyond the horizon. In the heart of Bucom's grand home, there stood a door unlike any other, a heavy wooden door with an ancient lock that gleamed faintly in the sunlight. Draped in colorful cloths, the door seemed almost alive, holding secrets too weighty for words. This was the forbidden room, a place whispered about but never entered. Even Bucom, the beloved daughter of the house, was not allowed to step inside or question its purpose. Her parents, in their gentle yet firm way, had always said, "That room is special, my dear. It is best left alone." Trusting their wisdom, Bucom obeyed, though the mystery tugged at the edges of her curiosity. The servants, however, whispered tales in hushed tones. They spoke of others who had tried to uncover the room's secrets long ago, curious souls who pressed their ears to the door or dared to peek through its keyhole. Those who ventured too far into their curiosity had vanished without a trace, their absence leaving behind a chilling silence that no one dared to feel. Over time, the mystery of the room became a shadow that lingered in the bright and cheerful house, a quiet reminder of the unknown. The servants kept their distance, cleaning around it with careful hands and averted eyes, as if the door itself might pull them into its hidden depths. For Bucom, the forbidden room was a puzzle she had learned to live with, a silent question tucked away in a corner of her happy life. It was a place of secrets and shadows in a home otherwise filled with light and laughter, a quiet enigma waiting for its moment to reveal what lay beyond. One fateful day, Bucom's world was shattered. Her parents had set off across the big blue river, their canoe gleaming with vibrant colors as it cut through the water. It was a trip they had made many times, but this time, the river was different. The current was wild, twisting and turning in ways no one had expected. Bucom, feeling under the weather, stayed home, unaware that her life was about to change forever. As her parents struggled to control their canoe, the water became too strong. With a sudden crash, the boat tipped over, sending them both into the swirling depths. Despite their efforts to reach the shore, they were swept away, and the river claimed them, leaving Bucom all alone. When the news reached the village, a heavy silence fell over everything. The joyful sounds that once filled the air seemed to fade away, replaced by a sorrow so deep it could be felt in every heart. The villagers, who had loved Bucom's parents like their own, gathered in mourning. The market, usually filled with laughter and trade, was closed for several days in honor of their memory. It was a quiet, respectful pause where no one bought, no one sold, only mourned. Bucom, lost in her grief, could hardly believe what had happened. The joy that once filled her heart was now clouded by an overwhelming sadness. Her tears fell like rain, and her once bright smile was nowhere to be seen. The village, though still in shock, wrapped their arms around her, offering what little comfort they could. But nothing could ease the pain of losing the two people she had loved most in the world. In the midst of the sorrow, Bucom learned something about life, that even in the brightest places, tragedy could strike, changing everything in an instant. And though her heart was broken, the village stood by her, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there was still light in the love and support of others. In the wake of her immense loss, Bucom was not alone. The entire village, who had always seen her parents as a beacon of kindness and generosity, now turned their love and care towards her. One by one, the villagers came to her home, bringing comforting food, soft blankets, and heartfelt words. They offered hugs, not just as a gesture, but as a promise, "We are with you." Each villager, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, found their way to Bucom's doorstep, hoping to ease the weight of her sorrow, even if just for a moment. The market, which had been closed in mourning, reopened with a gentler rhythm, as the community showed its solidarity, supporting one another and remembering the joy that Bucom's parents had brought to their lives. In these moments of darkness, the village showed Bucom that love is a force that binds people together, even in the hardest of times. The communal spirit of the village was a light in her shadowed world, reminding her that she wasn't alone, and that life, though changed, would go on. As Bucom navigated her grief, she realized that she needed help to manage her large home. Her parents' absence had left a silence in the house, and she couldn't bear to see the emptiness grow. That's when she met Simi and Obu, the village twins who were known for their hard work and bright spirits. Simi was like a burst of sunshine. She had a way of bringing life into the most ordinary moments, singing softly as she walked, her voice so sweet it seemed to lift the very air around her. She would hum cheerful tunes as she swept the floors, and even the birds would pause to listen. Her laughter was infectious, and soon enough, Bucom found herself smiling again, the warmth of Simi's energy filling the rooms of her house. Obu, on the other hand, was quieter but just as kind. His eyes always seemed to be observing, noticing the smallest details that others might miss. If something broke, Obu was the one to fix it, whether it was a leaky faucet or a creaky door. He worked with precision, and his calm nature helped ease the heavy atmosphere that had settled in the house. Together, the twins brought balance to Bucom's life, Simi's joy and Obu's steady hands. Slowly, the house that had once felt so empty began to feel like a home again. With the twins around, there was laughter in the halls and a renewed sense of warmth. They didn't just take care of the house, they brought a sense of hope back into Bucom's heart. The twins had a way of making life feel brighter, even in the darkest of times. And though the past was always with her, Bucom felt a spark of peace once more, knowing that the village and the twins would be there to help her move forward. Though the house slowly came back to life with the laughter and energy of Simi and Obu, there was one part of Bucom's home that remained untouched by the warmth and joy filling the rooms, the forbidden room. The heavy wooden door, still locked tight, loomed in the corner of the house, its presence like a quiet shadow that refused to fade. Even as the sun poured in through the windows and the house buzzed with the sounds of everyday life, the room remained shrouded in secrecy, its mystery growing with each passing day. Bucom, though her heart had begun to heal with the support of the twins, could not forget about the room. She found herself drawn to it, as if some invisible force was calling her to uncover what lay beyond the locked door. But no matter how much she wondered, she never dared to touch the door or ask about it. She had been taught from a young age that it was a place not to be entered, not to be spoken of, and Bucom, out of respect for her parents' wishes, had always obeyed. Still, The whispers of the servants, the stories of those who had tried to uncover the room's secrets and vanished, haunted her thoughts. The more she tried to push the thoughts away, the more they seemed to linger, like a song stuck in her head. Every time she passed by the door, her heart would race just a little, her curiosity growing stronger. The room, with its locked door and hidden purpose, remained a constant tension in the house. It was as though it stood as a silent reminder that not everything in life could be understood, not every mystery could be solved. In a house now filled with new beginnings, the forbidden room held on to its secret, refusing to let go of the unanswered questions that hovered in the air. It was a place where the past and the present collided, and Buchan knew that, sooner or later, she would have to face it. But for now, it remained just that, a mystery, patiently waiting for the moment when its truth would finally be revealed. The second anniversary of Buchan's parents' passing is fast approaching, and the atmosphere in the house is filled with a sense of reverence. The preparations for the remembrance ceremony are in full swing, with every corner of the home being meticulously cleaned. Simi and Obu, the diligent twins, are working hard, dusting, sweeping, and making sure everything shines except for one place, the forbidden room. Simi can't help but feel drawn to that mysterious room. It's the only part of the house untouched by their cleaning efforts. Her curiosity grows as she watches the untouched door, locked and shrouded in secrecy. She turns to Obu and asks, "Have you ever wondered what's inside that room? It's the only place we haven't cleaned." Obu, sensing the danger of such thoughts, glances at the door and replies, "I have, but we both know it's forbidden. We shouldn't ask about it. It's not for us to know." But Simi's curiosity doesn't fade. Later, when she has a moment alone with Buchan, she asks, "Miss Buchan, there's one room we haven't cleaned. With so many people coming for the ceremony, shouldn't we clean it too?" Buchan pauses, a serious look crossing her face. "No, Simi," she replies, her voice firm. "That room doesn't need cleaning. And I need you to promise me, you and Obu, never to worry about that room. It must remain closed." Though disappointed, Simi nods in agreement, but the mystery of the forbidden room lingers in her mind, a question without an answer, whispering at the edges of her thoughts. Despite Buchan's warning, the mystery of the forbidden room continues to pull at the twins' curiosity. Later at night, after a long day of work, Simi and Obu sit together in the quiet of the kitchen, the conversation inevitably turning back to the room they've been told to ignore. "What if there's treasure hidden inside?" Simi suggests with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Maybe it's filled with ancient secrets no one else knows." Obu, always the more cautious one, nods slowly. "Or maybe it's a place with memories from the past, locked away because it's too dangerous to disturb. Either way, we shouldn't be thinking about it." Buchan's instructions are clear. But even as they agree to respect Buchan's wishes, their minds wander back to the locked door. The idea of something hidden away, something forbidden, feels like a riddle they can't resist. They try to push it away, but the more they walk around the house preparing for the upcoming ceremony, the more the forbidden room becomes an obsession. As the day of the ceremony approaches, the house fills with guests, voices rising in respect and anticipation. The chatter of villagers honoring the past echoes in the halls, but to Simi and Obu, it only deepens the mystery of the room. Everyone is focused on memories, on honoring the dead, and yet there is a part of the house untouched, unseen, holding its own secret. The pull of the forbidden room becomes stronger, a magnetic force they can no longer ignore. One quiet evening, after the house has settled into a peaceful rhythm, Simi turns to Obu with a whisper. "I can't stop thinking about it. What if we just took a quick look? Just a peek?" Obu hesitates, the worry on his face clear, but even he can't deny the growing need to understand what lies behind that door. "We'll have to be careful," he warns, his voice low. "But yes, we need to know what's inside." The decision is made. They will investigate. No matter what Bucom says, the mystery of the forbidden room will no longer remain a secret. The twins, now united in their resolve, devise a careful plan to uncover the mystery of the forbidden room. They decide to act early in the morning, when the house is still asleep, and everyone is either too busy with preparations or deep in slumber. One twin will enter the room while the other keeps watch outside, ready to alert the other if anything goes wrong. The plan is simple but daring: get in, take a quick look, and leave before anyone notices. The tension is palpable as they prepare for the moment of truth, both excited and apprehensive about what they might find. Entering the room, the first light of dawn barely touches the earth as the twins quietly rise, slipping out of bed without a sound. They move stealthily through the hallways, hearts pounding in anticipation. They reach the forbidden room, the door looming before them like an old secret. Simi, with trembling hands, turns the handle. To her surprise, the lock gives way easily, almost as if it had been waiting for them. Simi steps forward, pushing the door open just enough to slip inside. The room is colder than she expected, the air heavy with an eerie stillness. She breathes in deeply, but as soon as she crosses the threshold, the light from the hallway seems to disappear. It's as if the room swallows it whole. Panic rises in her chest as she finds herself surrounded by impenetrable darkness. Her eyes strain, but there is nothing, only blackness, thick and suffocating. Obu. She calls out, but there is no reply. The room feels alien, vast and endless. She can't make sense of it. Outside, Obu waits, watching for any sign of trouble. The silence of the house presses down on him, and he waits in the quiet, hoping everything will go as planned. But then, as soon as he steps into the room to join Simi, something changes. The moment his foot crosses the threshold, the sounds of the world outside Simi's voice, the distant sounds of the house fade into nothingness. His ears are filled with a deafening silence. Panic tightens his chest as he realizes he can no longer hear anything, not even his own breathing. Simi. He calls out, but there is no sound, no echo. He feels the air grow still and oppressive. He can't hear anything at all. His own voice, when he tries to speak, is swallowed by the deafening silence. With his heart racing, Obu stumbles forward in the dark, trying to find his sister, but everything is so quiet, too quiet. Simi, caught in the darkness, feels a flicker of movement. She stretches out her hands, feeling for anything, when suddenly she brushes against Obu's arm. She gasps, relieved to find him, but her voice seems so small, lost in the darkness. Obu, can you hear me? She shouts, but her voice doesn't reach him. Obu, unable to hear her, feels her hand grasp his, and they stand there, two figures trapped in a room that has pulled them into separate, unyielding realities. Simi is lost in a world of dark shadows, and Obu is submerged in a void of silence. They can no longer communicate, and their attempts to find their way out are futile. The room seems to hold them captive, and the realization that they are trapped sinks in, trapped in a world where nothing makes sense, where time and space are distorted, and the only thing left is their desperate need to escape. The effects of the room. As the full weight of their situation settles in, the twins are consumed by panic. They can't communicate. Simi's voice seems to vanish into the darkness, and Obu's attempts to speak are absorbed by the overwhelming silence. Their world, once full of sound and light, is now an empty void, where nothing exists but their fear and confusion. Desperation begins to take hold as they try to reach the door, hoping that their escape is still possible. But when they move towards it, the room responds with a chilling force. Just as they think they might have found the way out, the door slams shut behind them with a thunderous crash, sealing them inside. The sound is deafening to both, though they hear it in different ways. Simi feels the reverberation in the darkness, while Obu is frozen in an eerie silence. Their senses continue to betray them, and they are left isolated in their separate realities. The feeling of being cut off from the world is suffocating. Simi, her heart pounding, instinctively reaches out to Obu, her hand brushing his once more. But the sensation of his presence is unsettling, as the silence around her deepens. Obu, we need to leave. Now. She cries out, though she knows her voice is swallowed by the room. Her mind races. She tries to think of any way to escape, but the dark, oppressive air presses against her, making it hard to think clearly. Obu, on the other hand, stands in an unnatural silence. The weight of the stillness crushes him, and the absence of sound makes everything feel unreal. He knows Simi is there, that her hand is on his arm, but it's as though they exist in separate worlds. He reaches out blindly, feeling for the door, but the simple act of touching it seems pointless. There's no response. The silence mocks his every move, making him feel even more lost. Both twins, trapped in their own versions of the room, struggle to hold on to each other. The sense of isolation grows with each passing moment, and the once hopeful plans to uncover the secrets of the forbidden room now seem like distant memories. Instead of finding answers, they've stumbled into something far darker, something beyond their comprehension. The room, with all its strange power, has captured them not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. They are alone in a way that feels like it could stretch on forever. As the minutes feel like hours, and the minutes stretch into an endless, suffocating silence, the twins understand one painful truth: they are truly trapped. The search for the twins. Outside, the village is alive with activity as preparations for the remembrance ceremony continue. The streets are filled with people coming from nearby and distant villages, their voices a constant hum of respect and excitement. Bucom, busy with the final touches for the ceremony, is moving from room to room when she notices something unsettling. Simi and Obu, the twins who had been walking tirelessly alongside her, are nowhere to be found. At first, she brushes it off, thinking they might be attending to something else or helping the guests. But as the hours pass and there is still no sign of them, her unease grows. The servants are instructed to search every corner of the house and the grounds, calling out the twins' names. The search extends to the gardens, the kitchens, and even the market paths where the twins often wandered, but still, there is no trace of them. Bucom feels a knot tighten in her chest. They had never been absent like this, especially not on such an important day. The thought of them simply going off to play or run an errand seems impossible. They would have told her, as they always did. Bucom's worry turns to anxiety, and with each passing minute, the sinking feeling in her heart grows. She organizes a more thorough search, her mind racing with all the possibilities of where they could have gone. The servants check the storerooms, the guest rooms, and even places that Simi and Obu rarely visited. But there is no sign of them. A chill runs through Bucom as she realizes that something is terribly wrong. As the minutes drag on and the ceremony preparations continue without a hitch, Bucom cannot shake the nagging suspicion that something in the house might be connected to their disappearance. The forbidden room. It's the one place in the house that had always been off limits, the one part of the home that no one, not even the servants, dared to discuss. It had always been a place of mystery, but Bucom had always kept it that way, dismissing any notion of it being more than just a room she never wished to open. Now, as the search grows more desperate, a sickening thought begins to creep into her mind. Could the forbidden room have something to do with the twins' disappearance? She pushes the thought aside, afraid of what it might mean. But the more she tries to ignore it, the stronger her worry becomes. Her mind races back to the times she had warned the twins, how they had always been so respectful of her wishes. Could they have, against her instructions, gone near that room? As the ceremony nears, and with the guests already starting to arrive, the house is filled with an unsettling quiet. The servants go about their duties, but there is an unmistakable tension in the air. Bucom, however, cannot focus on anything but the absence of Simi and Obu. Fear gnaws at her, And she knows that if the twins have gone near the forbidden room, it might be too late to undo whatever has happened. She fears they've uncovered something they once meant to something that could change everything. Time is running out. As the first guests begin to gather for the ceremony, Bucom, her heart heavy with dread, cannot help but feel that the answer she fears most is just out of reach. Bucom's growing worry. Despite the servants searching every corner of the house and surrounding grounds, there is still no sign of Simi and Obu. The house, once filled with their bustling energy, now feels eerily silent. As the hours tick by, Bucom's worry only deepens. She tries to convince herself that they must be somewhere, perhaps distracted by the ceremony preparations or caught up with the guests arriving. But the unsettling thought keeps creeping into her mind: what if they went near the forbidden room? The more Bucom tries to push the thought away, the stronger it becomes. She recalls how she had warned the twins about the room, asking them never to venture near it. Had they disobeyed her? Could the forbidden room be more than just a place of mystery? It might be the reason the twins have vanished. She tries to keep her focus on the ceremony, but every moment feels like an eternity. As the day progresses, fear begins to claw at her heart. The guests are arriving, filling the house with a buzz of excitement and reverence, but Bucom can barely hear them over the pounding of worry in her chest. The twins, always so reliable and punctual, are missing. They've never failed her before. Bucom's mind races through the possibilities, each one darker than the last. Could they have truly entered that room against her instructions? If so, what could have happened to them? The forbidden room had always been a place of mystery, its purpose hidden away. Now, with the twins missing, it feels like something far more sinister has taken hold of it. Bucom knows she cannot wait any longer. She must confront the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. The thought of the forbidden room fills her with dread, but her love for the twins and the growing certainty that they are trapped somewhere within it pushes her forward. The longer she delays, the more dangerous the situation becomes. She cannot ignore it any longer. Her fear, now a sharp pain, propels her toward a terrifying discovery.